It is recording. Okay, well, here we are, ready for Zechariah chapter 5. So today we'll review the first 4 lessons real briefly. And then I got a little something more about the signs of the times coming out of 2nd Esdras. And then we'll do Zechariah chapter 5.
When you're going to give us your book?
Haven't we done that yet?
I thought about that this week, and I meant to ask you, and it's crazy.
Okay.
No.
We will make a note, and next week we'll bring copies for all who can hand it. Okay, this is a passage in 2nd Esdras. If you'll recall, 2nd Esdras is in your Bible. If your Bible was a 1611 King James. Several other books in there called the Apocrypha. And 2nd Esdras kind of got left out because, well, why they almost left out Revelation, and because it was preposterous. And there were a lot of things in 2nd Esdras that seemed preposterous, and so they just kind of left it out. Classified it under the group of Apocrypha, which really means hidden, but it was a euphemism for this is less than canonical, and so I kicked it out. It was there, though, up until 1885, when the British Bible Society and the Puritans decided it was time to purify the Bible, and so they kicked it out. But very interesting book. Just reading here from, oh, and I didn't put the chapter number down. Well, you don't have a copy of it anyway, so just guess.
Why did they want to remove this book? Why did they feel it needed to be removed?
Well, because it, like Revelation, purports things like last time we met, I said it had this passage in there about flying swords and stars being shed upon countries and places and angry clouds being lifted up from the stars. They just couldn't handle that. It didn't make any sense to them. They thought it was preposterous, and so they categorized it as non-canonical because...
So maybe had it said that anybody who adds or takes away, they would have left it.
They would have probably left it in there then, but unfortunately they didn't. But we still have copies of it, so we can still use it, and I think it speaks to this generation more than any other. And this is one of the signs of the times, and it's, I'll just read it for you here. And he answered and said to me being Esdras, measure carefully in your mind, and when you see that a certain part of the predicted signs are past, then you will know that it is the very time when the Most High is about to visit the world which he has made. So when there shall appear in the world earthquakes, tumult of peoples, some passages say tumult of the heathens, intrigues of nations, wavering of leaders, confusion of princes, then you will know that it was of these that the Most High spoke of from the days which were of old from the beginning. For just as everything that has occurred in the world from the beginning is evident, the end is manifest. So also are the times of the Most High. The beginning are manifested in wonders and mighty works, and the end in requital and signs. Well, we've got signs now. We've got tetrads. We've got strange goings-on in the sun. We didn't even know about sunspots when this thing was written, but there are signs in the sun. Sunspots, which were always regular occurring things every 11 years or so, we missed them. And so strange things are going on, and would seem to support our notion that we are standing here right at the very end of the age. So that's for no extra charge. Okay, Zechariah in review. In chapter 1, we saw the 4s. We saw 4 horses patrolling the earth, 4 horns that scattered Judah, and then 4, they called them craftsmen. They were actually, in better interpretation, as skilled warriors that to frighten the 4 horns who scattered Judah. And in chapter 2, we saw where Jerusalem was going to be inhabited at some point in time without walls. And then in chapter 3, we saw the high priest, Joshua, given white clothes for his filthy rags. And we had the introduction to the branch, one of the names of the Messiah. And then in chapter 4, we saw these strange gold lampstands with elements fed from oil from 2 bowls, and the 2 bowls fed from 2 olive trees. and the olive trees being the anointed ones who stand before the Lord of the earth. Now, this last week, talking about the filthy, stinking clothes that the high priest was given, anybody have dogs? What happens if you don't bathe the dog for about 4 days in a row?
Stink.
Boy, they stink. Man, our dogs, they really stink. And these little dogs that we have, actually, I don't have any dogs. I have 2 dogs that I'm supporting. One of them belongs to my daughter, and one of them belongs to, well, my mother-in-law, who has since passed. But at any rate, these dogs got stinking. And so how do you handle that? Well, when they get stinking too bad, you just pick them up and haul them down to the pound and go get 2 more dogs, right? Oh, that ain't the way it works, is it? No, you take them and you clean them up and you keep them because you've grown attached to them. And I thought, isn't that an interesting parallel to what happened to Joshua? We, in the sight of the Lord, stink bunch. But he doesn't just throw us away, does he? Doesn't take us down to the pound and trade us in on a new model. He cleans us up, gives us white linen. And I'm sure we don't smell nearly so bad once we get through with his cleaning up. And so I just thought it was an interesting parallel because, you know, dog jumped up in bed and he stunk to high heaven and he wanted to get up in my face and I didn't want him in my face. And I got to thinking, well, I got to get rid of this dog. But then, you know, I like that dog. I don't know why I like that dog. I know why I like that dog. It's because that dog is the only expression on planet Earth that I know of unconditional love. Even when he gets popped for barking at the door and trying to jump up on the people that come visit us, even after that, when I leave and come back, he's always there happy to see me. He forgot everything that went before. So I'm sure God had that in mind when he created dog. Okay, moving right along to Zechariah. Any questions, by the way, as to where we are? Zechariah, really interesting book, but as Chuck Missler says, one of the most difficult to sort out because some of the symbolism in there, well, as we're going to see today, it's pretty strange. But if you have a background in the rest of the Bible, you can pull some very interesting details from it, and we're going to do that today. Zechariah chapter 5, verses 1 through 3. Then I turned and lifted up mine eyes and looked, and behold, a flying scroll. You don't see one of those every day. Flying roll. Interesting.
Like a Parker House roll?
It must have been a Parker. Yeah, something, a flying roll. My editor fell down on the job.
Some southern versions have biscuit.
You see, that must have been it. You see, my eyes will put the S and the C in there, whether it's there or not. And so, at any rate, there was a flying scroll. Take my word for it. It wasn't a roll. And he said to me, what seest thou? And I answered and said, I see a flying roll. Another flying roll. This blue letter Bible. It's their fault. They did it twice. A flying roll. The length thereof is 20 cubits, and the breadth thereof is 10 cubits. Big roll. And then he said to me, this is the curse that goeth forth over the face of the whole earth for everyone that stealeth. And that word for steal can also be interpreted deceive. That shall be cut off as on the side according to it, and everyone that sweareth, makes a false oath in the name of God, shall be cut off as that on the side according to it. So this thing had 2 sides, one side for those who deceive and steal, and the other side for one who swears or makes an oath in the name of God. So this is kind of strange, but of course, after everything else Zechariah is saying, it's probably no big deal, right? Now the holy place, that's the place in front of the Holy of Holies. If you look at its dimensions, it was 10 by 20 cubits too, just the dimensions of the scroll. And interesting also, the word in Hebrew for curse is ah. I'm sure that doesn't have any bearing on anything. And then We also have another scroll that Jeremiah wrote on, and it was all about the disasters that are going to fall upon Babylon. All that had been recorded concerning Babylon. If you read Jeremiah 51 and 60, it culminates Jeremiah chapters 50 and 51, which are the Babylon chapters of Jeremiah, where you'll see how everything in this earth, practically, that went wrong is assigned to the responsibility of Babylon. And so at some point in time, Babylon is going to be destroyed. But the mystery always was, what is Babylon? And we're going to get into that a little bit later. Now, there's a curse going forth to those who steal or deceive and to those who make false oaths in the name of God. Now, if a house or an organization makes an edict apart from the Bible to further its own interest and declares that edict to be infallible, how would this be judged in according to Zechariah chapter 5? Probably not well. Probably would fall under the side that said those who make false oath or who swear or who deceive. What about those who, an organization that has men tortured until they confess to false charges and then have them killed for their confession and then seize their property? How would they be judged in according to this? Probably not well. Or if an organization declares that its leader is the vicar of Christ, how would that organization be judged in accordance with Zechariah chapter 5? Or if the organization claims to have the power to forgive sins for money, how would that organization be judged? Probably not well. Hold that thought for a moment. And I will bring forth, saith the Lord of hosts, and it shall enter into the house of the thief and into the house of him that sweareth falsely by my name. Remember what this is talking about here. It's going into this house of this guy, and it shall remain in the midst of his house, and it shall consume it with its timber thereof and its stones thereof. Boy, wherever this house is, the object of this curse doesn't look good for it. And then the angel that talked with me went forth and said unto me, Now lift up thine eyes and see what it is that goeth forth. And I said, What is it? And he said, This is an ephah. It's a vessel of about 9 gallons in volume that goeth forth. And he said, moreover, this is their resemblance. Now that word, it's really eyes through all the earth. This is their eyes through all the earth. Now, I can't figure that one out too much. It sounds like that it's this ephah is something that has or represents something that has the ability of the organization to see throughout the whole earth.
That ephah, is that the same ephah as in Leviticus, where they talk about the ephah of flour?
Yep. Same. It's a unit of measure.
That much.
Yep.
9 gallons.
9
That's
gallons.
A lot of flour.
And so that's pretty good size.
Yeah.
And behold, there was lifted up a talent. Now, a talent varies all over the place, depending on whether you're in Egypt or whether you're a Hebrew. But a talent weighs about 130 pounds. So we got 9 gallons here with a 130-pound lid on it, and of lead. And this is a woman that sits in the midst of the ephah. And he said, This is wickedness. And he cast into the midst of the ephah, and he cast the weight of lead upon the mouth thereof. And then he lifted up mine eyes, and I looked, and behold, there came out 2 women. And the wind was in their wings. These are not women you see every day, not women with wings. For they had wings like the wings of a stork, and they lifted up the ephah between the earth and the heaven. Now, the wings of a stork. A stork is an unclean bird in Judaism. So these women, whoever they are carrying, it's interesting, why weren't men carrying this thing? And the woman that's inside is wickedness, and she's a woman. Now, where is Hillary Clinton when somebody needs to be here supporting women? This is not fair. Huh?
Delete emails.
Then said I to the angel that talked with me, Whither do these bear the ephah? In other words, Where's this thing going? And he said to me, to build it a house in the land of Shinar, that's where Babylon is. And it shall be established and set there upon its own base, its base being a place where it can comfortably rest. So, we got this strange story again. We got flying scrolls. It's a curse. Its curse is directed at those who swear falsely, and apparently that the Lord himself is going to come and dwell in the house of this one who is cursed, and it somehow has the ability to see over all the earth, and it was not in the land of Babylon, but wickedness. We got 9 gallons of wickedness headed from wherever it was, because its house got destroyed, or it would seem that its house got destroyed, and it's going to take it back over to Babylon. I don't know why they didn't kick this book out of the Bible. I mean, talk about strange. This is very strange. And then, just as I've noted, wickedness was not in the land of Shinar at the time of this prophecy. The two women who moved her from some other place. And then it went back to Babylon. And furthermore, the land of Shinar must be available for habitation at that moment. There's a prophecy in the scripture. In Jeremiah chapter 51, verse 62, that says, Babylon is going to become a waste and a desolation and will never be inhabited again. So whenever this transfer occurs, it's before it becomes a waste and a desolation. And we know when that happens from Revelation. It's at the end of the tribulation period. So it has to be available whenever this transfer occurs. Then, and I think I put that one in, there's Jeremiah 51:62, that it shall be a desolation forever. So, hey, whenever this occurs, it's going to occur before Babylon is completely blown away. Now this, believe it or not, answers a question that scholars have had for years, who have tried to put together and understand these prophecies relating to Babylon. Because remember when we were talking in Revelation 17 and 18, Babylon, Mystery Babylon, we located it. It's a city. It's a city founded on 7 hills. It's a city we call Rome. And there's some kind of an evil harlot there, a woman that has prostituted that which is righteous and true and made it into something that it wasn't. Bad things are prophesied against that Babylon. So what's Babylon? Well, it's a city. Well, we know that. We know that from Revelation. Well, it's also a country. Because if you look at the very first verse, which we will do here in a little bit, in Jeremiah chapter 50, it says this prophecy is going against the land of the Chaldeans. And the Chaldeans is just another word for Babylon. So there's a prophecy against the land of Babylon. Well, that's also a religious system. Recall Nimrod and his wife Semiramis. They instituted the Mystery Babylon religion, which has its effect clear down from the streams of time to this day. Our word Easter comes from Ishtar, which was the Canaanitic version of the Mystery Babylon religion. And so, to this day, if you ask someone, well, how come we celebrate Easter and little rabbits and paint eggs and stuff like that? Well, it's because it was a religion of, what do you say? What's rabbits and eggs? Well, it was pagan, but it was, I can't remember the word I'm looking for here. It was, well, at any rate, the little bunnies and the rabbits came from the Mystery Babylon religion.
It's what, Jerry?
Jerry, fertility.
Fertility?
That was the word. Give that man an extra. You get an extra piece of cake. You get an extra piece of cake.
I'll give her a piece of cake.
You see, this is what happens when you get old. Don't get old. Huh? Huh? You can't hear either when you go.
Has already said.
Okay. It's a religion. It's a political system. In fact, it's a merging of a political and a religious system. So, Babylon's going to be destroyed, and I will bring it forth, saith the Lord of hosts, and it shall enter into the house of the thief, and into the house of him that sweareth falsely by my name, and it shall remain in their midst of this house, and it shall consume it, and the timber thereof, and the stones thereof. Here's my interpretation. You won't find this in Chuck Mitzler's or anybody else's commentary that I can see, but here's what it looks to me is happening here. Mystery Babylon is a euphemism for this passage. That those who swear falsely by my name, who are deceivers, they have a house. Their eyes are throughout the whole world. The Lord is going to come and consume that house. When he consumes it, wickedness is going to be set free. There will be no place for wickedness, so it has to go someplace else. Seem reasonable? So, Mystery Babylon. What is Mystery Babylon? Well, we've already figured it out. It's not Babylon, the city 48 miles south of Baghdad. Babylon is, well, Mystery Babylon is a city called the Vatican, called in Rome. Now, the key to the whole thing is it's not Babylon, it is Mystery Babylon. And the word mysterion in Greek means either hidden or secret. And if you use the word secret, it makes sense. This is not Babylon, this is secret Babylon. This is where the influence of the original Mystery Babylon religion ended up. And you can trace it through time, and if you get Hislop's book, he does a fine job with tracing all this down, and you can see the relationship between Nimrod and Semiramis and their religious system and how it moved. It moved with the times. When Nimrod and his kingdom got destroyed, it moved a little bit further to the west, and it ended up in Pergamus. And when the Romans came in and attacked that region of the world, the priests in Pergamus just migrated right on over to Rome, and they continued keeping their religion alive. And now it exists to this day in the Vatican. Now, if you read Revelation 17, I was going to read all of that. Kind of helps set the table for what I'm trying to do here, and that is tie Mystery Babylon into this house that's going to be destroyed. Let me just read a little bit of it. This is Revelation chapter 17. And one of the seven angels who carried the seven bowls came and spoke to me, saying, "Come here, and I will show you the judgment of the great harlot that sits on many waters, with whom the kings of the earth have committed acts of immorality, and who dwell on earth, and who are made drunk with the wine of her immorality. And he carried me away in the spirit into a wilderness, and I saw the woman sitting on a scarlet beast, full of blasphemous names, having 7 heads and 10 horns. The woman was clothed in purple and scarlet, and adorned with gold and precious stones and pearls, having in her hand a gold cup full of the abominations and unclean things of her immorality. And upon her forehead was the name, Mystery Babylon the Great, mother of harlots and abominations of the earth." How would you like to have a title like that? "And I saw the woman drunk with the blood of the saints, and with the blood of the witnesses of Jesus. And when I saw her, I wondered greatly. And the angel said to me, Why do you wonder? I will tell you the mystery of the woman and the beast which carries her, which has 7 heads and 10 horns. The beast which you saw was, and is not, and is about to come out of the abyss, and go to destruction. And those who dwell on the earth will wonder, whose names have not been written in the book of life from the foundation of the world, when they see the beast, that he was not, and yet is." So this is really the mystery, and we kind of figured it out in past lessons. "And the beast which was and is not is himself an 8th, and he is one of the 7, and he goes into destruction. And the 10 horns which you saw are 10 kings, which have not yet received a kingdom, but they will receive authority as kings with the beast for about an hour. These have one purpose, and they give their power and authority to the beast. These will wage war against the Lamb, and the Lamb will overcome them, because he is Lord of lords and King of kings. And those who are with him are called chosen and faithful. And he said to me, the waters on which you saw are where the harlot sits, are peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues. And the 10 horns which you saw, and the beast, these will hate the harlot, and will make her desolate and naked, and will eat her flesh, and will burn her with fire. For God has put it in their hearts to execute his purpose by having a common purpose, and by giving their kingdom to the beast until the words of God shall be fulfilled. And the woman whom you saw is the great city, which reigns over the kings of the earth. Now just 3 more verses on verse 18. This is 8, 9, and 10. For this reason, in one day her plagues will come, pestilence, mourning, famine, and she will be burned up with fire, for the Lord God who judges her is strong. And the kings of the earth who have committed acts of immorality and have lived sensuously with her will weep and lament over her when they see the smoke of her burning, standing a great distance away for the fear of her torment, saying, Woe, woe to great Babylon, the strong city, for in 1 hour your judgment has come. Notice that they stand at a great distance. How come a great distance? If you got hit with a nuke, you would want to stand a great distance away. And the last time we met, remember, I talked about 2nd Esdras. It talked about these stars that were going to fall down on Babylon and destroy her. Bet you she's going to get hit with a nuke. So, Isaiah 47 says, Come down and set in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon. Set on the ground, there is no throne, O daughter of the Chaldeans, for thou shalt no more be called tender and delicate. Take the millstones and grind the meal, uncover the locks, make bare the leg, uncover the thigh, pass over the rivers. That means immigrate, leave the place. Therefore shall evil come upon thee, and thou shalt know from whence it rises, and mischief shall fall upon thee, and thou shalt not be able to put it off, and destruction shall come upon thee suddenly, which thou shalt not know. Here is a key. The daughter of Babylon and Mystery Babylon, boy, they have got an awful lot in common. If they're not the same person, boy, they are very next of kin. And if you read the elements of Isaiah 47, which is talking about the daughter of Babylon, she sits as a queen. Revelations 18:7 and Isaiah 47. She will never be a widow, she thinks. Revelation 18:7 and Isaiah 47:8. She relies on sorceries. Same in both passages. Judgment for her comes quickly. Same in both passages. She is a sensual one. Same in both passages. She will be burned with fire. Same in both passages. She is judged by God. Same in both passages. And this is Jeremiah 50, verse 1. Jeremiah 50 and 51 are judgments against Babylon, the land of the Chaldeans. It's not against Babylon, the city, but the land. And if you get that part straight, then all the rest of this starts to fall out. For thus saith the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, the daughter of Babylon is like a threshing floor. It is time to thresh her, yet in a little while, at the time of her harvest shall come. Now, the reason I put that passage, that's in the middle of Jeremiah 51, which is another passage which is talking about the land of Babylon. But if you look at this passage, it's saying in a little while he's going after the daughter. This distinguishes the daughter from the original content or thrust of the passage. It's originally directed at the land, but there's also this daughter of Babylon who is not the same. You know, sometimes the Bible, you read it and you think, well, it's just the Bible's way of saying the same thing twice, like the word Hebrew and Semite and Israelite and Jew. No, it's just the Bible's way of, saying the same thing in a different way. Keep you from getting bored, right? been my experience that any time there is a distinction between those two words, there is a reason for it. First off, as you've heard me say before, a Semite and a Hebrew are not the same thing. A Semite is a descendant of Shem. A Hebrew is a descendant of Eber, a bigger class of people. An Israelite is a descendant of the 12 sons of Jacob, whose name was changed to Israel. A Jew is only a descendant of one tribe of the Israelites, the tribe of Judah. Sometimes Benjamin and Levi are lumped in there. They're called Jews also. The point is, they're different. And if you think that they're all the same, then you got a real problem when you get over and find Judah attacking Israel. Wow, now I'm really confused. Well, the reason is because they're different people. So, the point is, in this passage, the daughter of Babylon is not the same as the land of Babylon. She is, if you look at the analysis in Isaiah 47, it's Mystery Babylon. So, the house of the thief and the one who swears falsely is this wickedness that we were talking about. Her house gets destroyed, she has to leave, and she returns back to the land of Babylon. And we know that when the Vatican is going to be destroyed, it's not at the very end of the tribulation, but it's right at the end. And so apparently what happens is the wickedness that was there returns to the land of Babylon, where there is a place prepared for her. And then that place is destroyed. And so the long and the short of this whole thing is this passage in Zechariah tells us that the house, which I believe to be Mystery Babylon, is going to be destroyed. And the reasons it's going to be destroyed are because of the flying scroll judgments, which are, they are deceitful, they are thieves, they steal, although the scroll is 10 by 20, it sounds like it's a symbol of some religious, the Holy of Holies. Clearly the object of the prophecy is not against the temple. It's against something which purports to be a house of worship or a temple. And so the long and the short of this thing is, this passage tells us that wickedness, where it resides in the form of the Mystery Babylon religion, that house is going to be destroyed for the reasons given on the scroll. When it's destroyed, then wickedness is bottled up, flies over to the land, then the land is going to be destroyed. And so this, in my opinion, answers the question about how can the Vatican be Mystery Babylon when Babylon is really a country many miles away. Well, the reason is we're talking about two different things. When it talks about the daughter of Babylon, it's not talking about Babylon. It is a close relative. It is secret Babylon. Daughter of Babylon, Mystery Babylon, same Babylon. The land of Babylon, different from those two. The bird, the woman with the wings of the stork, carries wickedness from the destruction of the Vatican back to the land where the land is destroyed. And so this one passage, it's not perfectly clear, but it seems to be that passage which ties these elements and our understanding of Babylon sort of together. And so, like I say, this commentary is solely my own. You won't find this with Chuck Missler. So, at any rate, the end. Any questions? It's going to get more interesting as we go on. I tell you, Zechariah is really a profound book, particularly when we get to chapter 14. We're going to be able to tie a whole bunch of stuff that we have studied all together and put a bow around it. It's going to be very interesting. This passage, like I say, doesn't get a lot of press because most people can't understand it. And you won't understand it unless you understand the background of Babylon. And once you understand that, you can kind of use that as a bridge between these two seemingly different places on the planet, which are both going to be judged. So any questions? Because you're going to get out of here early if there's aren't.
And so, when the Vatican is destroyed, where is that evil going to go?
It's going to go back to the land of Shinar, the land of Babylon. And so there is a prophecy. Remember when Jeremiah came, he wrote on the scroll, just as this scroll, he threw it in the Euphrates. He said, just as this scroll, I'm throwing it in the Euphrates, and it's going to fall, so is Babylon. And not only is it going to fall, it will never be inhabited again. It will be a waste and a desolation, a haunt of demons, literally.
But modern day Iraq?
Modern day Iraq.
Right. Now, how much of Iraq is going to become that way? Well, we won't find out until it happens, but it's going to be a mighty big portion, I would suspect. So that is the story of Zechariah chapter 5. And